Welcome, Eden Army. My name is Pete Robertucci, of course, and this is the Eden Army podcast. Sorry, guys, we had some weather come through last night, so we rescheduled, we adapted, we overcame. It's what we do over here at the Eden Army, so we're just glad to be able to get back on schedule. Storms hit a little bit weird up here. Now, I'm from Florida, where thunderstorms come through every day, but I'm telling you, this Midwest northern Wisconsin storm front thingamajigger, it just hits a little bit different. So I'm glad last night wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So I'm glad to be able to make it here tonight. But we took the Starlink down and everything because the storm before that actually blew the whole Starlink off into the damn woods. So we had to, luckily nothing got broke. We do have Terry in the house. Opie made it early. Congrats, Opie. Patrick Sevens over there on YouTube. So, Patrick, you need to start to migrate over toward Kick because we got some stuff going on after the intermission that you're probably not going to want to miss, especially if you're into like our books and stuff like that. So, Magnum 33 Rev made it on time. Outstanding. Baby girls in the house. And, of course, Terry, Christy, and Guy, they always show up for the Eden Army. So we got a lot of news this week. We're going to talk about the new Israeli offensive that's going on in the Middle East. We're also going to talk about illegal immigrants taking over Aurora, Colorado, and what the governor had to say about that and how he got smacked down in the media. We're going to talk about how the Biden-Harris administration, with the help of Facebook, managed to rig the 2020 election. And that's not even hyperbole at this point. It really happened. Zuckerberg came out and said it happened. But before we do that, guys, we only have a couple spots left in the Troy's Gate training session. So we're going to run that promo, and we're going to talk about that. There you go. So 2 spots left for that, guys. Get signed up. I'd like to have a full class to show them guys at Troy's Gate that we are actually doing something for them. And it's something you're not going to want to miss. Got Mel's over there on Facebook and Mama Weatherman's over there on Facebook also. Meta came in over here on Kick, and the Battle Gnome is alive and well, I see. Mama Tooch is over there also. So good. Starting to fill up over there on Kick. Facebook and YouTube, they kind of always lag, so we're not going to worry too much about them at this point. And, of course, we got Russ in the back clicking the button, so we certainly appreciate what he does for us back there. But let's get into it. Let's talk about this week. Let's talk about the news. Let's talk about what's going on in Pete's world, what's going on in Russ's world, and, more importantly, what's going on in y'all's world. So let's dive into it, shall we? Israel this week remained the focal point in the international news due to its expanding military operation. You know, they had that successful campaign in Gaza. I say it's successful. They got rid of a lot of Hamas, still working. But the Israeli forces are now shifting their focus into the West Bank, while also at the same time launching strikes on targets in both Lebanon and in Syria. So in a significant development, Israeli forces have I would say allegedly, not even allegedly, because we got a video, reportedly eliminated a top Palestinian commander inside Jeddah furthering escalations and tensions in the region. Let's show that video. So I'll give some context behind that video because it was obviously from a dash cam, right? So Shin Bet operators, along with some Arabic infiltrators that work with Israel, actually were in Jenin. They had intelligence that there was a Hamas operative, a Palestinian operative there. So they went inside and took care of that Palestinian commander. So basically, Shin Bet, Arabic interpreters, and as well as operators that were Arabic went in, had actionable intelligence, and took this guy out. So basically, what you see there is the Shin Bet operator stopping their car, saying "Stop, stop, stop," and then they start receiving fire from that Palestinian commander, and they do what the Israelis do and eliminate him. So good stuff right there. I like it, and I hope they do more of it. In other news inside of Israel, look, all eyes are still focused on Iran at this point. Are they going to make good on their promise to retaliate after killing the high-ranking Hamas political figure inside of Tehran? So they got rising tensions. Iran's still kind of saying they're going to retaliate. But all during all of these rising tensions, Israel still managed to go inside of Gaza and successfully rescue another hostage with the special forces, Sariyat Matkel, the Navy special forces, akin to what our Navy SEALs are, executed this daring mission behind enemy lines. So let's run that particular video, Russ, if you would.
Josh?
And Trey, I did want to talk a little bit about the operation that took place yesterday morning. A hostage rescued in good health, and we actually heard from him really just moments ago here. Do we know from the IDF and other intelligence officials how exactly they were able to locate this hostage and bring him home safely?
Yeah, 52-year-old Kaid Farhan Al-Qadi was rescued from a tunnel in the southern part of the Gaza Strip. The Israelis say that Shayetet 13, the Navy special forces of the Israeli military, took part in this operation to rescue him, and he was found alone underground. A significant find for the Israeli military to find a hostage alive, especially at this point in the war. He is broadly in good health and was released from the hospital today to be reunited with his family. He is from a Bedouin community in the south, and some of the images released yesterday just show you how his family has been waiting for him to be rescued or released from Gaza. And it gives you a sense of just how long these families have been waiting, nearly a year. On October 7th, the country will mark the one-year anniversary of Black Saturday. And there are still more than 100 hostages being held inside Gaza. Some of them are dead. Others are still alive. Here in southern Israel, you can hear some of that outgoing artillery headed into the Gaza Strip as the Israelis continue their campaign against central and southern Gaza.
Well, there you go. So, and, you know, Mama Teresa said over there in Kick Chat that was an actual Arab Israeli. So it's not like they're just going out for Israelis themselves. Look, they captured all types of ethnicities over there on October 7th. They didn't care, okay? They're using these hostages as bargaining tools. But if you know anything about the Jewish people, they will not stop. It's not going to happen. So, and then Mel says, dang, those guys need more ammo. They really peppered that car up. Yeah, they did the job. There's no question. It was not a capture mission at all. So there you go. Patrick, you did migrate over to Kick. Good job. I know that's kind of hard sometimes, but Glad you made it. So let's go. Russ, what do you say we go and talk about the craziness that's going on in our country right now, especially with illegal aliens, and especially in Colorado, where a group of armed individuals, reportedly they were illegal immigrants from Venezuela, allegedly, even though we have video of it, stormed an apartment complex in what authorities and local media are calling a complete takeover of the property. This incident sent shockwaves through the community, raising concerns over safety and security. Wow, imagine that. Whole bunch of illegal immigrants that are gang members. What could go wrong? And this is further evidence that the Democratic nominee for president, Kamala Harris, who is supposed to be the border czar, is a complete failure. A complete failure. And not to mention that the governor of Colorado came out after this and said, look, that's fake news. But then the district attorney, and props to her, says, have you lost your mind? It's not fake news. This is what's happening in our cities. And Colorado is falling apart because of the sanctuary state that it's become. So there's not, every place in America is now a border state because they've shipped them in as soon as they cross the border. If they even cross the border, they flew them to every state within the nation. So let's show a video of what's going on in Aurora, Colorado right now. So clearly an organized operation to take over this apartment complex. And when these politicians ask you, when you hear on the news, what does anybody need a 30-round magazine for? What could you possibly need a 30-round magazine for? There you go, right there. And what people fail to realize is that those cops are not, the cops in any city across our nation are not there to protect you. They're there to respond after something happens to you. So whenever you hear this Second Amendment mumbo jumbo, why do you need a 30-round magazine? No, you don't need a 30-round magazine to go hunting unless you're hunting people like that are breaking into your apartment complex. Then guess what? You need a 30-round magazine. And so there you go. That's what's happening in Colorado. Jeff, you made it in there. Good to see you, brother. And baby girl says she had one job to deal with, talking about the presidential nominee. She had one job, which was the border, and she failed horribly at that. And then Patrick Seven said the reporter that was doing the interview for Fox, he has a book out, and I can't wait to see that because I believe it's still on. I think it came out on Audible also. So, and he talks about what he actually saw on October 7th. So I look forward to seeing that. Kelly says he knows Aurora, Colorado very well. So, yeah. So let's talk about what should be the most damning news report of the century. What should be on the headline of every newspaper, every social media platform. And that's the owner of Facebook wrote a letter to Congress saying that the Biden-Harris administration pressured Facebook to censor stories about COVID-19, labeling nearly 18 million posts as misinformation. These are some posts that talked about ivermectin, how that was beneficial. And come to find out, guess what? It was, and it would have saved lives. But Zuckerberg and the Biden-Harris administration squished those stories, calling them misinformation, saying they were dangerous. The White House fired back, saying that during the pandemic, they sought to tone down dangerous misinformation. But what that doesn't account for is, in the same breath, that administration attempted to subdue information about the Hunter Biden laptop. Why hasn't the media jumped on this scandal? It's the biggest scandal since my lifetime. They've censored American people. Not only did they censor American people, they sought to change the direction of the 2020 election by subduing information about the Hunter Biden laptop. So look, I can almost understand the COVID thing. Almost. But when you talk about the Hunter Biden laptop, there was no other purpose behind censoring that information than throwing the 2020 election in the Democrats' way. So why isn't the media jumping all over it? Why isn't this the biggest scandal in our lifetime? Because we know how they report, and anything detrimental to the Democratic Party, they're not going to report. Remember the whole cheap fake scandal? The whole cheap, when they talked about the conservatives making up stuff about Joe Biden and what the media did in response. They called it a cheap fake. Let me remind you. Go ahead.
Narrative that Joe Biden is an old man, of course, and I'm not disputing that he's not 81 years old, but
we are going to separate the fact from the fiction, because there are a lot of videos going around about President Biden on social media.
These videos, I mean, they're blatant lies.
They are lying to their audience,
making up and distorting things about the current president,
trying to get people to believe visuals that aren't real.
The videos are oftentimes made up.
Deceptively edited videos known as cheap fakes.
A cheap fake, at least that's what the White House calls this viral video of President Biden.
The White House says there's a cheap fake problem.
Cheap fakes.
Cheap fakes.
Cheap fakes, videos of real events that are intentionally manipulated.
We're hearing about so-called cheap fakes.
Cheap fakes.
Cheap fakes.
Cheap fakes.
Cheap fakes.
Distorted, out of context videos, chopped up in certain ways, constructed in certain ways.
Look at him. Look at Biden. It is not true. He was fine, but they are creating this narrative.
The technology is just going to get more and more efficient at making these videos look more and more real when they're really not.
So there you go. That's the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party right there. And that's just one example. Okay, so now you get into the Hunter Biden laptop and what they're doing right now, how they're propping up their nominee when she had the worst polling in vice presidential history. Now, all of a sudden, the polls are coming back in some of these swing states where she's edging out Donald Trump. No, it's all bullshit. Okay, it's all bullshit and it's all propaganda. And we need to be aware of that. So, hey, let's not forget what they did in the past with COVID-19. Let's not forget what the media did with the Hunter Biden laptop. So, and by the way, I didn't change that guy's voice. That was what actually came through on the audio on the. So I wasn't making fun of that guy. Patrick Seven says, people forget Zuck also has been fined more than anyone for election interference for political ads on his platform. And you're right, Patrick. And not only that, but he's promised not to contribute. Well, Facebook, or maybe him personally, not to contribute to anymore. But here's the deal. I'm still seeing things on Facebook today that have that little tag. One thing that said graphic content. It had to be an American flag with an eagle saying we need to fight against people that were going to destroy our country, right? They flagged that. Why would they flag that? And here, and the other thing is, somebody had mentioned it in Kick Chat, X has been the spotlight for the truth in our country right now. And Elon Musk is behind all of that, obviously. And that's why they hate him also. You know, they loved him when he was coming out with these electric cars and a green energy type of deal. Now they hate him. And that just goes to show you how demonic this Democratic Party is. It's not even, when you see people like Mr. Kennedy come over to our side, who else came over, Russ? Tulsa Yep, she came. He's waving over there. She came over to our side. So look, that just goes to show you how radical this current regime is. They're not even close to center anymore. Guys, I know you're having problems over there at Kick. I understand that. What I would do is type in the URL. I'll type it over there. Hold on, guys. Let me post this real quick. And I had this problem earlier also. See if that works if you just click on that. And actually, I meant to do that. Yeah, I did it in comments. There you go. There you go. Try that for you that are on Facebook and YouTube. See if that works for you. Tulsi Gabbard, thank you, Battle Gnome. I appreciate that. Well, and then you saw what's going on with Telegram. I think I mentioned that last week. You know, Telegram has failed to. Now, look, I know Telegram is owned by a Russian oligarch. I get that. I understand that. But he is not sharing information and censoring stuff with the government over there in France. So they have really put the screws to him. And I tell you how sinister this really is. They're saying that he's complacent in any illegal activity that happens on Telegram, as well as any type of child pornography that some of the people are sharing over there. And it just goes to show you that you could be the nicest guy in the world. You could have the right intent in the world. But if they want to find something wrong with you, they'll find it. And if they can't find it, guess what they're going to do? They're going to make the shit up. Okay, so this is the new world order we're dealing with. It's not just here in the United States. So, yeah, Jeff says Elon needs to be careful. I agree. He needs to be careful. Hopefully his bodyguards are better than Trump's Secret Service agents, because they are certainly after his ass. So I'm just reading chat over there in Kick, Russ. So that's all the news I want to really talk about today. Because once I get, look, guys, once I get into politics, you know what happens to me. I get fired up and I start cussing, and Melissa starts yelling at me. She's already texted me, "Stop cussing so much, Pete. Stop cussing. You're still on YouTube. You're still on Facebook. It's all right. Don't worry about it. They can kick us off. Give them the big FU. It's not like they're going to extradite me over there in Europe anymore. So they can bite my ass as far as I'm concerned. Stop texting me, Melissa. I know I'm cussing a lot. Okay, got that squared away. So what's next on the agenda here? Oh, come on in, Russ. Let's talk about the news.
Bada bang. What's up, my brother?
Russ Sawyer, the man behind this whole operation. So what do you think? You got anything to add to those little snippets of news? I know there's a lot more we could have went over.
Oh, absolutely. The whole Colorado thing, that just blows my mind that is happening. I mean, and we know it's happening here in the U.S., but the governor coming out saying it is fake news, and then what is it, the attorney general or district attorney smacking him in the head and say, "Yeah, you're fucking stupid. Melissa can't text me." So, wait a minute. Yes, she can. She does have my phone number. Oh well, but it breaks my heart nowadays to see stuff like that in the news. And I'm sorry. I've done a lot of traveling this summer, guys. You guys know that. And I don't think I could even count on half of one hand the number of Biden-Harris signs I've seen. You don't see them. And I'm seeing that in other social media platforms that I'm looking at. I'm sorry. I've talked to people of all walks of life, and we talk about politics, and I haven't come across one yet that is willing to say that, yeah, I'm voting for her. I mean,
yeah, you're right. And you're right. You go up and down the highways, not just in rural America, but you never see a Harris sign. You never see it. Now, I'm sure they're handing them out like crazy right now.
People use them for firewood starter.
Well, yeah, targets. Magnum says, rumor has it the government raised a mosquito and released them on the East Coast. I did see that. I didn't read into it too much, that there was a mosquito They were letting go like 8 million a day or something like that. And I don't know, there was scuttlebutt way back in the day that they were going to somehow do like a vaccine type of deal in the mosquitoes. I don't know. I don't go that far down the rabbit hole. So my spiritual advisor, the Rev, says I should slow down my cussing also. So I have to listen to him.
Let's see here. Nick Meacher made it over into Kick.
Oh, good job, Nick. Well done. Yeah, so this is where, so typically, Nick, just so you know what we normally do, just so all you guys know, if you haven't been here, what we normally do is do the news and stuff on the traditional communist platforms like Facebook and YouTube. And then when we really want to cut loose and talk about OG stuff, and we take that over to Kick because they're less, as of right now, they're a little less stringent on what we do. So,
very much so.
Patrick says Chris had a bio mosquito in the Charlie Requiem books. I didn't know that.
I'm trying to remember about that one. I'll have to go back and read. Now, Patrick, you're going to make me reread the Charlie's Requiem series, him and Walt Browning. And so I'm going to have to read it. But I have other stuff I'm going to need to read here pretty soon. And we'll discuss that in a little bit. But,
just as he has a potty mouth also. Guys, we're going to take a quick intermission, and then we're going to dump the communist platforms. But let me say this. You're not going to want to leave, because this week's Eden Extra is something you really need to listen to.
Yeah, you're not going to believe it. That's all I'm going to say.
And then, like I said in chat on Kick earlier, we have some other news that I want to show you guys also. So, Russ, let's take a real quick intermission and do our thing with Mount Readiness or whatever, and we'll come back on Kick.
All right, we'll see you soon.
I spent my first 15 years trying to get out of the woods because I thought it was horrible. And I spent the next 20 years trying to get back. The truth of the matter is we need to be well-rounded individuals like our forefathers were.